great deal of our work is involved in working with all age groups actually to consider how they hope to live with each other in the future. The simple act of getting to know each other better, building up some trust, working on some joint projects so that they have a better sense of each other. That's a big part of our work, and young people are absolutely fundamental to that for a number of reasons. One, they bring a lot of energy to the work, new ideas, positive outlooks. They are greatly affected by poor community relations in their everyday lives. There's a lot of information about that when you look at city planning and you look at the extent to which people feel safe to move in and out of the areas of the city. Young people, the profile of how safe young people feel can vary very greatly from how others at different age demographics might feel about the safety of the city. To coin a cliche, and in many ways they are the future. So if we can't establish good relationships across their age band, then we're setting up bad news for ourselves as we go on. So young people are really important to our work.
Who's going to be there in 20 years? The young people now, they are the future, and our older people need to be encouraging them and need to be passing on words of support and encouragement, and not words of doom and words that have brought us into trouble and words that have brought us into disarray.
Young people can be whatever they want to be. If you believe in yourself, a young person can aspire to anything.
We can see a future of peace, but we've got to do something about it.
I hope we all just live harmoniously. You know, it might not be United Ireland, it might not be Northern Ireland as a state, but I hope we all can live together, you know, in peace, and, you know, let young people's voices be heard more.
It's just part of human nature. You want to get to know people, and it's not fair to cut people out based on one thing when you don't even know them.
A lot of people, they have their cultural identity is defined by the fact that they are not this or they're not that. Whereas I'd much rather have people define themselves by what they are and by not what they're not.
My hopes for Northern Ireland are that we will be a people who will not base our opinions on somebody else's opinions. My hope for Northern Ireland is that the walls will come down, and my hope for Northern Ireland is that I don't feel uncomfortable going into a part of my city that I think belongs to somebody else, that it can be part of my city.
I think one of the things we all do in all of our roles and all of our jobs in society is try to do our best for the sake of the work that we do, but we also believe at heart that what we do is important for the future of this society and for the future of our children and their children. We need to teach our children what we think is important and how they live their lives to make it better for themselves as they live in this shared society. Because one thing that's inevitable is that we will share this piece of territory with people who come from a different political and religious and community background. That is inevitable. The question is how we share this society in years to come. And if we're to share it better for the sake of our children and their children, we need to make sure that the work we do now is influencing our children to better relate to other communities so that their children can even better relate as well. That's the goal that we all, I think, have in anything that we do in our working lives. Certainly when it comes to peace building and reconciliation, it is absolutely critical, because otherwise the conflicts that we have lived through will be conflicts that our grandchildren will live through.
They have a voice, they have a role, and they shape history. One of the significant pieces of work that we do is our intervention programs. Generally they take place through the summer, but not exclusively. And some of that work is about trying to provide alternatives to getting involved in conflict. It's about trying to engage young people in activities that get them to reflect upon who they are, what they're about, where they've come from, and where they're going. Those fundamental questions about saying, you know, when you come up with a slogan or when you repeat a slogan that you've heard, do you understand where that came from? When you stand under a flag or when you look to put a flag on a lamppost, do you understand what that was actually about? So you're often getting young people with a warped sense of who they are, a set of slogans, a set of ideas, but they're not really pinned to anything. They're not contextualized. They're just, there's almost an acceptance of this is what's been handed down. So some of our work is about trying to unpick that.
Peace Players International, it's a community relations organisation that uses sport, and the sport that we particularly use is basketball, to bridge divides, develop leaders and change perceptions between the two main communities here in Northern Ireland. The programme is based upon the simple premise that children who play together can learn to live together. Very simple but very powerful. So what we try to do is create a progression route where kids we engage with at 7 become a little champion for peace in the first instance in their home with their parents and say, Daddy, why do I go to a different school from my new teammate? Right through until they've developed additional skills with us around coaching or facilitating, where they come back and actually work with friends they've met through the programme, working with other kids in their own communities. So we try to create that leadership pipeline and progression route where the kids actually can come right through and develop a skill and capacity around this, and then go back and work with peers and with other people in their own communities. So the kids just love coming along and competing against people from other areas. And the key thing in this for us is to be successful in your team, you have to get along well with your teammates. So you have to get to know your teammates, you have to trust your teammates. And it's a great vehicle for the stimulation of a conversation because yes, there's good players who are fast and quick, but there's also good teammates, so people you can trust and have confidence in and who will look out for you or cheer on your team at that time. So it's a fantastic vehicle just for that initial conversation around seeing people as people, really. From a very practical perspective, we've had support externally from evaluators that have examined our programs year on year and have talked to kids, and they've measured things like attitudinal change, and increasingly and progressively they've seen developments in how kids' attitudes to the other have changed through participation with the program. But for us, it's the more anecdotal stories. It's the stories about the kids that have developed friendships or that are phoning each other up or texting each other or Skyping each other or sending messages via Facebook and meeting up in the city centre to weekend. They're the stories that are really exciting for us. And the really exciting ones are the little cross-community romances that appear. Now, you can't write them up in an evaluation report, but you can observe them and you can see them and just be delighted that those types of opportunities are being created through the programme.
It's about relationships. It's about saying, how do we build relationships on a longer term? How do we get young people to connect over a longer period of time? That it's not just about the 6 weeks that a programme lasts, but it's about a lifetime.
Change at the grassroots level is massively important, and children are a really powerful tool for that. Our Champions for Peace are absolutely a key to that development for us. They're the champions of the programme in their homes, with their parents, with their peers, with their brothers and sisters. But also, they're the kids that are really getting interested in this and seeing the potential of it and maybe taking a career forward. And they're also the guys that in the future are going to be making the decisions around how this place pans out and the types of shared future we want.